December means 24 grams of whiskey in 24 days. The Flaviar Advent Calendar has been keeping me on my toes because there's so much variety in here. I'm going to go ahead and open it up right now, dig out day 16, so we can get started and find out what it has to offer today. All right, I've got day 16. Let's do this. Welcome to Whisky Riffs. If you're new here, thank you for joining. I'm Kevin, and it is day 16 on my adventure through the Flaviar Advent Calendar. I have a lot of 50 milliliter bottles that have been in this box. 15 have already been extracted. I just got number 16 out, and I'm not looking at this bottle because it has information about the country of origin for the whiskey, but I'm happy to show it to you so that you get a heads up and see exactly what I'm doing before I know what I'm doing. When I'm done tasting the whiskey and giving my notes, I'm going to look it up in the Flaviar Advent Calendar tasting notes packet, which will give me a lot of information that I may have missed. And I'll go ahead and look up some more information online and put that on the screen for you in case I find some things that are surprising to me and I need to explain them a little bit more with some added research. Let me go ahead and start pouring this 50 milliliter bottle into the glass. I like to pour half of it in here and save half for later because whiskey is hard to tell if it's your favorite or not just on one taste alone. It's always a challenge to do these whiskeys, but I'm up for the challenge today. Let's dig into day 16. Ooh, interesting new notes. I haven't had these nose notes yet. And I want to say these are kind of briny, definitely sensing a seashore, like we're getting some sort of island whiskey or Isla whiskey. If there's smoke and peat, if there's smoke and peat in here, it's pretty minor. It's not a dominant nose to it. But I'm getting some citrus notes. I'm getting a little bit of, what is that? It's like a Jolly Rancher note for some reason. Like a hard candy sweetness. There's some decent amount of sweetness on the nose. I'm not getting hit in the face with a lot of AVB. I guess talking's hard today. But it doesn't seem like it's awful mild either. I think there's just a lot to explore in this glass. Some decent wood spice. The finish has a little bit of a sour note to it for me. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting more sweetness on the taste because I got more sweetness on the nose. But now I'm getting apple notes and I can smell some berries. Sometimes it's hard to get notes on the nose until you've tasted it once and it starts to kind of fill up your whole sinus cavity. I've had these flavor notes before. I've had a lot of flavor notes in the recent days. I went to a whiskey fest. I've gone through 15 days of tastings. So there's a lot of reference material that is probably overloading the 4 or 5 still working brain cells in my head. I don't dislike this whiskey though. I've given up trying to be totally right on these. I'm just enjoying the whiskey as we go through these different days at this point. This reminds me of Caboonagh or Kalila. I know I've guessed Scotland a lot and I haven't been right every time. But if I keep guessing it, I'm going to be right at least a percentage of the time. So I'm going with Scotland. I think it's more of an island whiskey. Briny notes in there are coming forth for me. It's not overly sweet. It doesn't look like it has much darkness to it, which could mean that it's in a cooler climate like Scotland. And I like the flavor notes on it. I think they're refreshing, they're not overpowering, and they're not overly sweet. Let's check the Flaviar Tasting Notes booklet for day 16. All right, day 16 it's an Irish single malt, the Sexton. Okay, this is interesting because I was just at Whiskey Fest San Francisco, and the Sexton was right there at the booth that I was trying another Irish whiskey, and I didn't get over in that line to try the Sexton. Now I wish I had, because maybe those tasting notes would have been there. The ABV is low. I could tell that it wasn't hitting me real hard at first on the nose. It's 40%, but it is an Irish single malt, which is different than an Irish pot still or some of your standard Irish grain whiskeys. So let's see what the notes have to say. Honeycomb, dried fruits, nutty, malty, woody, dark chocolate, oily. Yeah, there's definitely some notes there for the dried fruits. I definitely got the maltiness, which is why I thought we were in Scotland. And if you're going to do a single malt, you're definitely going to emulate the Scottish nature of whiskey. So I'm okay being whiskey adjacent to Scotland, and I'm okay that it was a single malt because it really did taste like that. Feels like it's been matured in a cooler climate like Ireland or Scotland, and it does have a lot of little briny and C notes that I'm not seeing here on their tasting notes, but that doesn't mean anything because your tasting notes are just as valid as any tasting notes from anybody else, me, Flaviar, or any of the reviewers out there. Well, I actually like the Sexton. I am pretty impressed with it. I'm gonna have to explore it more. I wish it was higher than 40% ABV, but unfortunately, more often than not, the Irish whiskeys tend to be a lower ABV. If they're pot still, they can get away with it. I don't know if the single malts can get away with it as much. I think if the ABV was a little higher on the Sexton, I think we'd get a few more notes that are missing from this dram, but I will go ahead and try it a second time because I am enjoying it. And if you're enjoying these tasting notes and these 24 days of drams, please give me a like on this video. It helps spread it around, and I love building this Whisky Riffs community, and I love any comments you have on the Sexton or any other whiskeys that I may have tasted. It really helps me to know what you're enjoying, what you're not enjoying, so I know what to do next. Speaking of doing something next, tomorrow is day 17, so take care of yourself. Take care of those people around you, and cheers.